I am so excited to dive into yet another epic Rebel Radio conversation with my new friend, Lizzy. Lizzy, welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and hello to all of your listeners. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So, before we went live, as always, I shared a little bit of your numerology with you, and I'm curious what was one of your takeaways from that?
Probably the biggest. So I'm a five,
Mhm.
according to numerology, and so I think the biggest thing was the word freedom. I
Yeah,
love that word. I'm always kind of seeking to have more freedom in my life, and also give my clients more freedom. So that was huge.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, the fives are all about the freedom. So, tell us a little bit about who you are. Who is Lizzy?
Yeah, so people refer to me as their self-love sister, which is I love
Hmm.
that because I basically have this mission in life to empower women to ditch the diets, silence their inner mean girl, and step into the body that they love so that they can feel that freedom, so
Mhm.
that they can have a joyful and happy life. And so that's essentially what I do. And it's really a pleasure to call that my job in inverted commas.
Right? I
Yeah.
love that. One of the things that you said there stood out to me of ditching the diets. Like that's
Mm,
so powerful. I see so many people suffering with diets all the time and just bouncing back and forth, and it feels
yeah.
painful.
It feels painful, frustrating, and it
Mhm.
wastes a lot of your time, your money, your energy, and it's very much a vicious cycle, right? Of not feeling good enough, of wasting all of this effort on something that really isn't serving you, and is
Mhm.
just serving an industry that doesn't really care about you. So
Right. Yeah.
I think it's very empowering to break free from that cycle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what do you desire most for your life other than freedom, obviously?
Yeah. So I think the vehicle that gets me to freedom is self-love. And I think
Mm.
a lot of people have heard of self-love, but kind of write it off as an Instagram hashtag because we
Right?
haven't, yeah, right, because we haven't been shown how. For a
Mhm.
long, long time, I had this sense of, well, I need to improve my own self love, but I didn't really know how to do that. And that's really kind of like what started me off on my journey. I had a 10-year eating disorder, and then a history of just like mentally abusing myself through my inner mean girl. And through my own journey, I discovered the tools that help me, and so it is really my duty to share that and share how to love yourself, because it's a natural born right that we all have. We just lose that sense of self love as we kind of get exposed to family stories, our
Mhm.
culture, what we get told in the media. And so it's not about a matter of kind of achieving it, it's a matter of reclaiming it, which I think is pretty cool. But self love is, to answer your question, the most important thing to me.
I love that so much. And you're right. I mean, everywhere we look, especially as women, but for men too, everywhere you look, you're told that you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you're not this enough, you're not enough.
Fill
All
in
the
the blank, right? Yeah.
right? I mean, you just watch TV for 30 minutes and you're like, oh my God, I need a hamburger and I need this eyelash thing and I need this makeup and I need this diet and I need all the things because I'm not good enough, right? And
Hmm.
it just inundates us. So I think that self love piece is definitely the most important thing. I love that.
Absolutely.
I love
Absolutely.
that. So I am curious how, unity consciousness is something that we speak about here. And in my work, we talk about it all the time. And I feel like every guest I've ever had has a different definition. So I'm curious to know how you define unity consciousness.
Yeah, and I've listened to many of your podcasts, and it is very interesting to hear everybody's definition of unity consciousness, I
It's
have to
some good
say.
ones out there. I love it.
It's cool, because we are all different, and that really represents how diverse we are. But to me, we have different levels of consciousness, right? We have
Mhm.
our conscious, we have our subconscious, and then we have our super conscious, was kind of the field of information around us. And
Mhm.
then above that is the unity consciousness, the collective of everybody.
Mhm.
And so if we're able to raise our own vibration and be in that state of self-love, which is one of the highest vibrations we can be in, if not the highest vibration, then we
Mhm.
are raising unity consciousness, which is going to benefit everybody. So
Yeah.
that to me is kind of the hierarchy of our consciousness, and unity consciousness is at the top, and it's going to benefit everybody.
I love that. I love that so much. I love the way you describe that of like the more you love yourself, the more we tap into unity consciousness, which benefits everyone. So it's really our responsibility to love the crap out of ourselves.
Absolutely. It is it is a responsibility, it's a choice, and it's our right. And as I say, I feel like there's this movement towards more unity as a planet as a whole.
Yeah.
And so we can all contribute to that just by, raising our own vibration.
Yeah. I love that so much. So what kind of like rituals or habits do you have in place to devote yourself to unity to consciousness?
Uh, to be honest, they vary.
Yeah, you're right.
It varies depending on how I'm feeling. Like
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate of tuning into what feels right for you and your body on a particular day. But
Mhm.
in my book, Reclaim the Rebel, I talk about 12 rebellious acts to
Mhm.
achieving unconditional love for your body. And so part of these rebellious acts really is, moving for pleasure, not punishment. So
Mhm.
for me, that looks different to someone else, but for me, it's dancing. I love to dance. I'm a 90s girl, so 90s cheesy pop is right, right in my alley.
I knew there
So
was a reason
sometimes,
we were gonna get along.
yes, girl, yes. So, sometimes raising that vibration involves putting on my cheesy 90s pop and just dancing around the living room. Other
Mhm.
times it could be, another rebellious act that I talk about is trusting your gut. So, trusting your body with your food. So, if I would like a square of dark chocolate or two or four, then that's what I will have. That raises my joy.
Mhm.
Or other times it will literally be easing up. That's another rebellious act because we're in this hustle culture
Mhm.
where it's all about, working hard, working yourself to the bone, like go, go, go. And
Ugh.
sometimes that's not serving us. So, it will be doing something just because, going for a walk in nature. Like right now we're visiting Big Bear and
Mhm.
just for the weekend, just because. So those are just some of the rebellious things that we can do in a society that tells us to work harder, to have this diet, to have this grueling workout program that isn't
Mhm.
fun. And really that's what it's all about, right? It's having fun, and that raises our vibration. So what fun means to you, fill in the blank. It might be the 90s pop. It
Well,
could be
I think
something else. So,
so.
yeah.
I can just picture it too, and I'm imagining like the leggings and the leg warmers for some reason too, and like
Oh, yeah.
neon headbands, like the whole thing.
Oh, 100%. Like, I'm in. We need to do
I
this at
love
some
it.
point.
I love it. Well, we'll have to make sure that there is a link to get your book in the show notes because that sounds like a book that's totally in alignment with the show Rebel Radio. I
That's
love the
actually how
name.
I found you. I was Googling Rebel and
Mhm.
I discovered your podcast. So
I love it.
I was just like, this sounds so in alignment. And I think that is another aspect of kind of becoming more aligned with unity consciousness and self-love is just feeling that alignment and
Mhm.
trusting the universe, trusting yourself, and going
Yeah.
with it. So
And the synchronicities that result from it, right? Yeah. I
yeah.
love that. I love that. So, here at Rebel Radio, we also love to talk about wealth. And this is another thing that everybody's got a different definition for.
Mm.
So, I'm curious how you define wealth.
Yeah, and I think the topic of wealth is something to me that you have. Whereas I like to think of things in terms of abundance, which is how you're being.
Mhm.
You're in a state of abundance. And as a result of being in a state of abundance, you can have wealth.
Mm.
And that's another concept that I really like to talk about is actually living your life backwards. So a lot of this works from the perspective of we want to have something, we want to have wealth, we want to have this perfect body, we want to have fill in the blank, but we're not being in the state that's going to allow us to have what we want. So if we're in a state of abundance, then wealth can, material wealth and also mental wealth and abundance can flow to us easily. But if we're not being that person, then it's going to be very difficult to achieve it. So to me, wealth is the result of being in an abundant state. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that so much. It's like it's the idea of coming from the inside out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our physical experience, our external experience is nothing but a direct reflection of what's happening inside with your vibrational state.
Absolutely.
I love
Yeah.
that. More abundance, please.
Extra abundance, extra self-love, extra freedom. That sounds so good.
Holy shit on everything, right? I love it. So, what is one truth that you wish every single entrepreneur knew?
I think it kind of relates to who you're being. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs like myself start out thinking that we need to do because of, as we mentioned, this hustle culture. And, they're trying so hard. It's a lot of effort, but they're not looking at who they're being and who they're sort of like the role that they're stepping into, the CEO role. They're still kind of in the mentality of an employee that just needs to do more, do just that little bit more, and then you'll be successful. But I
Right.
think if we slowed down, regulated our nervous system, and was in a state of, for example, abundance, we would be more successful. And that seems very counterintuitive from what we get told, the stories that we get told by society.
Yeah.
But actually, that's something that I wish that I'd known to begin with, is that actually it's more a matter of who you're being, and giving yourself grace as well is a really important one. But ultimately, what you're bringing to the table in terms of your emotions, your feelings, as opposed to how much you're working, how many hours.
Oh, you are speaking my language right now. This is actually my story. I started my business as a virtual assistant, and I had a belief system that if I just worked harder, I would somehow break through and have that overnight success it's obviously not true. And I remember my mentor at the time, who's now my business partner, she said to me, she said, if you meditated more, you'd make more money. And I was like, bullshit. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. And she goes, well, how's what you're doing working out for you so far? Like, all right.
2x4.
I started going out onto my patio, and I would just sit on my patio and meditate and be in contemplation. And lo and behold, I started making more money.
Funny how that works, huh?
Yeah. We're human beings, not human doings.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that so much.
And it's through the silence that we get some of our best ideas. It's not through kind of like when we're doing 10,000 things at once. It's when we're going for that walk, sitting on the patio, that we get these kind of like downloads.
Yeah.
Aha.
We need to make space for the inspiration, right? Because if you're just doing, there's no room for anything else to come in. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So what's something that you've discovered about yourself on your journey that's really helped you to grow?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it's a constant process of self-discovery. And I think the kind of key thing that I've discovered is my purpose, which has been fantastic, because once I've got that sense of this is what I'm meant to do in my life, this is who I'm meant to serve, that's really propelled me forward. And give me a very, very strong sense of getting out of my shit and just helping people. Because when you're able to do that, it's like stepping into who you're being. It's, not worrying about what other people think about you, not worrying about, all of the small stuff that can hold us back. So I think once I discovered my purpose, which is to help women feel good in their bodies, it's helped me get out of my own way and ultimately, write a book and, create a group coaching program, serve more clients. So that's fantastic.
I love that. I love that. One of the things that you said earlier in the show too is the inner mean girl. I'm curious if you could give our audience a couple of tips on how to tame the inner mean girl.
Yeah, oh my gosh. So we all have an inner
Oh
mean
yeah.
girl,
Yes.
even if we've spent years, kind of doing the inner work, as it were.
Mhm.
And she comes
Still
up.
rear her ugly head once in a while.
Yeah, and it's not a matter of getting rid of her, because what she's trying to do is actually keep you safe,
Mhm.
which isn't always productive.
Mhm.
So really the first step is being aware of her, and if she does come up, be like, "Oh, I know what's happening here. Hello,
Oh
inner
my god.
mean girl."
I say this to my clients all the time. Awareness is everything.
It really is. I
Yeah.
mean, once we have that awareness, then we can be like, okay, I see you, I hear you, but we're not going to do this today. And then choose an alternative thought that's more aligned to feeling good in your body, to growing your business. Because we get to choose, just like we get to choose what clothes we wear in the morning. We get to pick our thoughts. So we can go through that clothes rail and go, oh, that doesn't fit me. I want to feel like this today instead. And we can choose that and choose a different thought instead. And once we can kind of do that and do that consistently, because that's the kind of
Mhm.
third aspect of it, is being consistent with this, then that's when we get to move through that inner mean girl moment with more ease and grace. And it's really a practice, because as I say, she is there, despite having years and years and years of self-development work. She's going to pop up. So how do we move through that scenario in a way that is easy and light, as opposed to beating ourselves up for days and days and days.
Yes, I love that so much, and you're totally speaking my language. It's something I teach my clients as well, and I think, sometimes it seems so simple of just
Mm,
choose another thought, right? And I love that you said it's a practice, because it is, it's ongoing, and I think all of this work is a practice. We're never gonna fully love ourselves. We're never gonna fully, tame the inner beast. We're never gonna fully be in our like absolute perfect vibrational frequency. It's just a practice of keep calling yourself higher and higher and higher.
absolutely. Yeah. And God, everything that you're saying, I'm just like, check. Yes, yes, yes. I totally agree with you. Which could be kind of boring for your listeners, because I just like, oh,
Not at
there's
all.
no debate. But yeah, absolutely. And ultimately, it's not about being perfect. It's about being human, as you said. And so it's what I love about what both of us are able to do is to kind of say to people, hey, it's not actually that complicated. It's as
Mhm.
simple as this. If you're able to do this consistently, one of my mentors used to say, not many people are consistent, but those who are consistent win. If you're able to have that consistency, you will feel better very, very quickly. And the sky's the limit with
Love
with
it.
that.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
love it so much. Oh, Lizzy, thank you for being on the show
You're
today. I
so
feel like I could
welcome.
talk to you all day long. We obviously think and feel the same way about this world, and I love that. But as always, we end the show with one last question. What do you dream of for the world?
Oh my goodness. So my big dream is that the diet industry fails. That sounds kind of negative, but I
I love
really want to take down the diet industry,
that. Mhm,
because to me it is a very unethical industry.
mhm.
And I think collectively as a whole, I foresee there being a self love movement where people actually stand up and say, enough is enough. We're good enough. We're not broken. And
Mm,
we just want to feel good. We just want to have, the food that nourishes our bodies in a way that feels good to us. And just, again, contributing to that unity consciousness, to raising that vibration and just feeling good in our bodies.
I love your dream. I can feel that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yes, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate you.